going on, everybody? I hope you're all having a wonderful day today. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, I'm going to be talking about 8 movies that I feel like you need to go check out right now. I want you to immediately go run to your closest TV and just throw them on and enjoy them, because, man, I was looking at what I've been watching the past couple of months, and I was like, you know what? Let me pick out 8 films that really just stuck out to me, ones that I just had such a great time with and kind of wanted to recommend them to some of you. Now listen, I want to say this though. I'm not trying to act like these movies are, super underground, like I'm really putting you on or like acting like nobody knows about them. Most of these are very popular movies, but still, I hope that this is the video that, pushes you over the edge to actually sit down and watch these films. The first movie that I'm getting into here right now is my number 1 film recommendation. And the thing is, I wanted to put the best film first because in case for some reason you don't want to watch this entire video, I need you to hear about this one. Anyone, if they ask me right now, what movie should I watch? This film that I'm about to say is on Netflix. You can go check it out. It's an A24 film. It stars Willem Dafoe, that being The Florida Project. I cannot believe how long it sat with me. Basically, it follows this little girl who lives in like Orlando, right next to Disney World. But the thing is, she lives with her mother in like a motel, and you kind of get to see like the non-tourist side of that Orlando area, kind of like the poverty-stricken, area outside of Disney World. And man, this movie sat with me for days, for weeks at this point, because I watched it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Man, I cannot believe how powerful this movie is, how raw it is, how real it feels. And the thing is, you're kind of watching this film through the perspective of a child. So the thing is, they don't know everything about the world. And man, it's heartbreaking, it's uplifting at times. And out of any film, like I said, that you should go watch right now, I would 110% recommend this movie. This movie to me is a 5-star film. Absolutely fell in love with it. I could see it being one of my favorite films one day. Please do me a favor and go check out The Florida Project right now. Coming up next is one of the funniest movies that I have seen in a long time, that being The Blues Brothers. This is kind of like a buddy cop type of film with Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. And oh my god, this is absolutely an 80s classic. I don't need to tell you that. I know it's already an 80s classic. And again, I'm not acting like this isn't a popular film, but man, the way that this movie, listen, the first half hour or so, I wasn't really on board what was going on here. It's like we have these 2 guys. They're kind of like, I don't want to say criminals, but they're just kind of on their own. They're almost like loners. And all of a sudden, they find out that the church that they were like raised in needs money or else it's going to close down. So, them being the Blues Brothers, kind of like this band, they have to go around trying to get money to save the church. And man, as this movie goes on and on, it just gets exponentially crazier and crazier. Carrie Fisher's in here as well, like as a small role, and it just gets wild to the point where at the end of this movie, you won't even believe that, considering where we started with this film, where we actually got to in the end. And oh my god, it's so funny. Like I said, Dan Aykroyd, obviously John Belushi, obviously are such great comedic geniuses. So yeah, this is a great film. Go check it out. This next movie that I'm recommending is actually also a comedy starring John Cena, which I know might throw some people off immediately, but that's going to be the Netflix film that is Blockers. Listen, I know that comedies sometimes, especially like nowadays, kind of suck, if I'm just going to be honest with you, but this movie's about 5 years old, and for some reason, I just never really heard of it. I just threw it on. I was like, what the hell? And man, I had a great time with it. First of all, the important thing about this movie, as funny as it is and as good as the jokes are, is that the premise is hysterical. Basically, John Cena and his 2 neighbors, friends, whatever you want to say, all of their kids are going to prom. And the thing is, they actually found out that they made like a sex pact for prom, and they don't want their kids to go through with it. So they're trying to hunt them down on prom night to try to stop this from happening. It's so funny, all the antics that they get themselves into. But at the same time, it does have a heartwarming core to where towards the end you're like, you know what, this movie's kind of about just letting your kids go and kind of accepting that they're growing up. So if you're, a family man, if you're a family person, I think you should definitely go check this one out right now. All right, with this next movie, we're taking things back to the 70s. This is a movie that I watched when I was a kid, and I just recently rewatched it a couple of months ago for the first time, and man, it is still just as good as I remember it. That being the Clint Eastwood classic, Escape from Alcatraz. By the way, this movie I'm pretty sure is also on Netflix. I'm trying to just keep things accessible here so that you guys can actually go watch them pretty easily. And wow, This movie, it follows Frank Morris, the popular, convict who actually managed, supposedly, to escape from Alcatraz, the San Francisco prison. And man, the way that this story is told, the way things are unraveled, and the way that we kind of just see this interesting process as to how these, inmates were able to escape this prison that's on an island that's super secure. It's like one of the most, I don't want to say dangerous, but just, hard to escape ones on the planet. And wow, man, Clint Eastwood, he's got that charm. I'm not the biggest fan of him just because I haven't really seen too many movies with him. I need to watch more of him. But wow, if you just want to see a really good, I guess you could say kind of crime, escape, heist type of film, this is it. It's not even really outdated or anything like that. It's a great watch now, and it'll be a great watch in 50 years from now. I love this movie. Honestly, I almost feel embarrassed for this next recommendation because technically this is such a popular film, but I still feel like not enough people have seen it. It's a Star Wars movie, which I know immediately you're going to be like, man, come on, we're recommending Star Wars, really? But the film that I'm talking about here is going to be Solo, a Star Wars story. I feel like not that many people have seen this. First of all, this movie did really bad at the box office, so that's kind of evidence enough. But, man, I did a Star Wars video ranking like a couple weeks ago or whatever, and this is the one movie that I haven't seen, so I watched it, and I went into it thinking, oh, whatever, I just got to get this over with. But I ended up having so much fun with it. Childish Gambino as Lando, such great casting. The whole cast here feels like they're all having a really great time on set, and I feel like that kind of brings more charm and energy to it. There's a lot of great, interesting set pieces here, and it feels like it just expands the world of Star Wars a little bit more, kind of just another adventure. And yeah, even if you want to just look at this as like filler, even though it is following our main character, Han Solo here, of course, then fine, be that way. But I'm telling you, if you watch this, you kind of just relax, you're gonna have a really great time with this movie. I was completely taken back by how good this film was, especially just on like a fun level. Like, if you're not looking into it too deeply, I really, really, really had a great time with this movie. The next movie that I'm gonna be talking about here, believe it or not, is actually Jake Gyllenhaal's first ever film. Some of you might not know what that is, but that's what this video is here for. It's for the recommendations. That's gonna be October Sky. Wow, I had such a great time with this film. It's directed by Joe Johnston, who did Captain America: The First Avenger and the OG Jumanji movie, two films that I thoroughly enjoy. And man, Jake Gyllenhaal's charm when he was younger, it was great. But basically, getting into what this film's about, it's about a small town kid, Homer Hickam, who lives in like this coal town in like Virginia in the late 50s, early 60s. And all of a sudden, he kind of realizes, you know what? I want to be a rocket scientist. And we kind of see his progression as how he's trying to achieve this goal and how he kind of capitalizes on, at the time, what was really the American dream and his opportunity. Laura Dern's also in here. She is great as usual, and man, it is just a heartwarming type of, pull at your heartstrings. You've kind of got all this chemistry, and also it has just like that early 2000s, late 90s type of vibe, so who doesn't love that? And overall, trust me, it's a really great like family watch as well. Really enjoyed this movie. The next film on this list is honestly one that I did not expect to enjoy because it's almost 100 years old. The movie that I'm talking about today is Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times. See, the thing is, for most of my life, Charlie Chaplin was pretty much just a name. I didn't really know like what he did, this and that. But then I watched what some would deem as his most popular film, Modern Times, and wow, this movie is excellent and holds up today. It's pretty much like a silent film, and if I tried to go over the story, I feel like I wouldn't really tell it correctly. But basically, it just kind of talks about like the whole industrial era and how like America was kind of taking advantage of its workers and how they were almost like slaves. But it does it in like a comedic way, which sounds kind of cruel. But Charlie Chaplin's performance, just his energy throughout this film, it's so, I don't even know how to explain it, just energetic, like I was saying. He just seems to be so happy, so passionate about his work. And man, like I said, if you're not interested in a movie from 1936, I don't blame you, or 1932, I might be getting those dates wrong. I don't blame you, but man, I'm telling you, at least just try it, check it out, it's awesome. There's like this nice little dance scene, kind of singing scene that had me dying towards the end. It's very funny too, especially in 2024. You'd think it wouldn't be, but no, it holds up till this day. Go check it out. The last movie on this list is one that I'm sure plenty of you have heard of. I don't know who hasn't heard of this movie, but I just rewatched it a couple months ago, and I was just thinking, God, this movie deserves even more love than it already gets. That being Ocean's 11. First of all, you want to talk about a stacked cast that at the time were all in their peak? George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, I could go on and on. Awesome. I swear to God, the story of this movie is so rich. It's kind of funny. I just realized I kind of went over two like escape heist movies with Escape from Alcatraz. Now this, just honestly, at the end of the day, the story with how good it is and just the vibe this movie has. This movie has pretty much the most swagger out of any film I've ever seen. Just so charismatic. I love it. And man, does everyone just look so good in this movie. I mean, come on. We got Brad Pitt in here, George Clooney, like I was saying. Everyone looks great. The story is great. It has a satisfying ending. Of course, you got a little bit of love in there if you're kind of into that. And wow, overall, such a great film. I don't have too much to say about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but the twists and turns that go on throughout this film are just mind-blowing, and I absolutely love it. I can rewatch it any day. Absolute perfection. So yeah, guys, that's gonna just about do it for today. Again, I don't want to act like any of these movies are like super underground or you've never heard of them before. I just hope that this is gonna be the video that'll push you to go watch one of these movies. And if you end up watching any of these movies, comment down below. I want to know your thoughts on them, or if you've even just seen any of these films, comment down below. Comment anything about movies. You know me, I don't really care too much. I just want to talk about films because I love them so much. Guys, that's gonna just about do it for today. Thank you guys for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.